Hey, it's 12 noon on Friday, which means it's time for this week's episode of State of Real Estate. We've got a great episode today on building trust with your clients, not only why you should do it, but some effective ways to build some trust with your real estate clients. So stick with us. You're watching State of Real Estate.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. Really welcome to this week's episode. For those of you just tuning in, every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you, into your homes, into your phones, into your tablets, whatever screen it is that you're watching us on, small screen or big screen, to help you mastermind and grow your real estate business. Every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe on there. If you're watching on Facebook, like the page, sign up for notifications. Or if you want these dropped directly in your email inbox every time we go live, go to tampaschool.com/success. That's tampaschool.com/success. Put your email in there and you'll be notified anytime it is that we go live. So we got a really great episode for you today. It's all about building trust with your clients in real estate. And if you're thinking about starting a real estate career, maybe you don't have your license yet, or maybe you're trying to jumpstart your real estate career, maybe you got to do the post-licensing we've got coming up. Post-licensing deadline, the next FREC deadline is September 30th, so make sure you've got your post-licensing done so your license doesn't become null and void. Give us a call. We can walk you through it step by step. Phone number is 813-928-0106. Our advisors are standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way that they can. Or maybe you'd like to go on the website, go to tampaschool.com. You can find all the information you would possibly ever need on that website. And if you're trying to get your real estate license but you haven't quite passed your exams yet, visit passfirsttry.com. That's passfirsttry.com for our recommended strategy to pass your class and state exams on the first try. You'll see those links falling throughout the show, so you don't have to leave us right now. Just make sure you write them down. You can check that out after we're live here. But let's talk about building trust. So building trust, what is trust? Let's start off because if we're going to go deep on this, we got to start with the basics and make sure our basic assumptions are correct. So what is trust? Trust is someone's willingness to let you have the reins, for you to take the wheel, for you to call the shots, for when you telling them something, they believe what it is that you say. They're not going to second guess what it is that you're saying. They're not going to go seek the advice or the opinion of somebody else based on what it is that you say. That's what trust is. And you could see just for these little examples we've brought up already how much value that has for you to have with your buyers and sellers, or any business it is that you're in. Anytime you have some sort of good or service it is that you're selling. If people don't trust you, they're going to go get second opinions somewhere else, and maybe that person they're getting a second opinion from is going to ultimately steal that business from you. It's going to really kind of cause a block in your communications, because you could tell them one thing and they'll say, oh, okay, and they're thinking in their head, oh, I got to double check that. I got to Google that. That doesn't sound right. I don't buy what this guy is selling. So it'll really kind of make communication just one-sided, where you're saying things but you're not getting the honest feedback back, which that's really going to help you overcome some obstacles later on. It's also going to help you close deals faster. So with being more clear in your communication, meaning, so once you've established the appropriate level of trust, you'll be able to tell somebody something, and when they trust you, they'll be able to tell you to your face when it's something they don't necessarily agree with or they don't understand, and that'll basically open it up for you to further elaborate. If they do not trust you, they're not going to ask you to further elaborate, because they're going to think, oh, what are they going to say to make me want to believe them when what they're saying isn't true. When they trust you, they're going to take initially what you say as to be true, but they might not just understand what it is, and they might need further clarification beyond that. So you're able to get more clear communication because you'll get the feedback necessary. Remember, communication, it's a two-way street. It's not just you delivering information, it's also receiving information. And a quick note on that, this is a live stream, so if you guys have questions on any of this stuff, anything you want to add, anything that you think may be helpful, or if you just want to say hi from wherever it is that you're watching from. I know we get people watching from all over the world, from Australia to Canada to California to right here in the Tampa Bay area, so let us know also where you're watching from in the comments. I'll give you a shout out to you live on the air. But the reason why we do this live is to have that two-way of communication. We could pre-record these videos. We could absolutely pre-record these videos and then just play them up here. But we're not getting that same feedback. I love when we get feedback and comments and input from our viewers, because that really helps shape the show. It not only helps me understand better where people are having the bottlenecks and the holdups and the things that's keeping them from pushing themselves forward, but it also kind of helps make the show that much more useful, because if you're having that issue, there's probably a lot of other people that have it as well. So you want to take that same concept of having your communication go both ways in your individual transactions, when you're working with a buyer, when you're working with a seller as well. Because when you've established trust, again, they're going to take what you have to say as true. They might be confused by it or not understand it, or maybe they do think something else, but when they do think something else, they'll be more open with wanting to explain that to you. But what happens ultimately when you clear up this communication, and part of that is building the trust, you're able to close deals a lot faster. You're able to kind of to go right through them, because you're cutting through all this extra, maybe it's just time. Because they're not comfortable, because maybe they don't trust you, so they just kind of want to wait, and they're just slowing things down because of that lack of trust. Or maybe they're talking to somebody else to confirm this information, and they want to keep going back and forth and reconfirming everything it is that you say. That's going to slow down your sales process. So ultimately, it's going to help you close deals faster and keep you from wasting your time. It'll keep you from wasting your time. So part of this is, like I said, being open and upfront about a lot of things, because when you're open and upfront about things, it might not be the answer it is that they want, but they're going to appreciate that by giving them the answer it is that they need. Last thing here, and this is huge, and this is something that's really going to help snowball your business into something much bigger, and it's getting referrals. Because when your clients trust you, they'll have no problem telling their friends and family about your services. If they trust you, then they'll say, oh yeah, I'll tell my friends about you, or I've got this friend right here that wants to sell their house, why don't you give them a call? I know you'll do a good job for them as well. If they don't trust you, that's not going to happen. There's a statistic I heard the other day. So a statistic I heard the other day that said every real estate client, and this was a real estate specific statistic, I can't remember exactly where it was that I got it from, but every real estate client is worth 5.72 referrals. So every client it is that you have, on average, should be able to generate 5.72 referrals. So just a little under 6 referrals. So you should be able to get at least 5, if not 6 referrals out of your clients, not also including the repeat business you're going to get from them by staying in touch with them and whatnot. But that's never going to happen if you don't establish the trust in the first place to get people to want to use you. And if they don't trust you, that's really going to hold you up with that. We've got a lot more great state of real estate, a lot more great information to deliver to you, so stick with us. I'm John Christman. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Have you been thinking about starting a career in real estate? Enjoy an entrepreneurial lifestyle that allows for schedule flexibility with unlimited income potential. In real estate, the sky is the limit, and what you put in is what you get out. Learn more about a career in real estate at tampaschool.com. Did you know that if post-licensing education isn't completed by your first renewal, your real estate license will become null and void? If your license becomes null and void, you must restart the licensing process all over again. At the Tampa School of Real Estate, we make renewal requirements easy. Visit postflorida.com to learn more and enroll today. Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Don't let this be our final song. Don't let this be our final song. So give me happy before you say the night is over. I want you to know that we can't carry on. So don't let
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we come into your homes, your phones, your tablets, your screens, the big screen, the small screen, to help you mastermind and grow your real estate business. Real quick, like I said, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Go over and check us out on YouTube. We've got over 80,000 views on our YouTube channel, so you know there must be something of value there if we've got 80,000 people checking that out. So definitely go on there, take a look into that. There's a lot of great videos that we do because we do these shows every Friday religiously, like the world is going to end if we don't do one of these shows on a Friday. So every Friday you can go in there and check these out. We've got them going forward, and you can go back and check out all the archives because we've got a lot of great episodes I definitely recommend you take a look at. If you're a new agent, just a couple I can maybe rattle off. We've got one, first 30 days as an agent. That's definitely one of the first ones I would check out if you are new to real estate. I would also recommend looking into any of the prospecting, the open house stuff, a lot of that stuff that helps get your business going right off the bat with minimal cash investment. So that's really good. Or maybe you're already in real estate and you're just trying to take your real estate game to the next level. We've got a lot of great episodes. Check out all the marketing stuff because you can always increase your marketing. We're an ever expanding, growing marketing presence. So whether it's the Tampa School of Real Estate or any of the endeavors it is that we're tied with, and there's just always room for improvement, especially with the changing landscape that occurs every day in the marketing world. So definitely check out all those videos there. They're on YouTube. That's probably the best place to check them out. You also see them on Facebook. But let's get back into our discussion of the day of this Friday on State of Real Estate, and that's going to be on building trust with your real estate clients. And we already spent the first segment of the show talking about basically why it is that you need to build trust with them. It's going to get you more sales. It's going to get you more referrals. It's going to help speed up your sales process. And it's going to keep you from, probably most importantly, losing clients. Because if they trust you, there may be other issues and other objections or other complaints it is that they have in closing the deal and getting a property listed or buying the property is that they want. But you shouldn't be that problem. It shouldn't be you that's the problem. If it's the commission you're charging, okay, that's one thing. You could keep building up the value, or maybe you discount your commission. Totally up to you on how it is that you could go into that. But ultimately, they should like you as a person. So let's talk about some tactical, practical, implementable things you could use to start building trust with your clients. And so one of the first things that And so this is just my general nature. So my general nature, and I don't know if this is by design or this just happened this way, but I'm a very kind of upfront person. I like to just say, okay, this is what it is. People don't always like what it is that answer is. It's not always the pretty perfect answer. And that's a huge misconception people have with sales. Sales in general, whether it's real estate sales or any other sales, is that you always have to tell the people what they want to hear. And if you're always telling somebody what it is that they want to hear, you look like a few things. Number one, you look like you don't know what you're talking about. They might not pick up on this for the first couple of times, and they're maybe, let's say we're showing a property and they're like, oh wow, this is a beautiful house, I like this, and they're like, oh yeah, it's definitely a beautiful house, and then all of a sudden they're like, oh, you know what, it doesn't look that nice. Oh yeah, I totally agree with you. Maybe you're able to get away with that there, but the more and more and more that goes, they start picking up on it and see that you're basically there nonstop agreeing with them. Some people won't ever notice that. Some people, most people will. So you're not always going to be telling people what it is that they exactly want to hear. And yeah, you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot. If they're saying the house is beautiful, you don't want to say, no, it's the ugliest house I've ever seen. That's not really going to help us much here or there. But let's say if they're asking you, oh, do you think the house is worth what they're asking for it? And if you think the house is worth what they're asking for it, you shouldn't say, oh, well, we should negotiate that because you guys shouldn't pay full price. No, you should say, yeah, I definitely think it's worth what it's asking for. Or maybe, and this is where, again, the ethics kind of comes into this here. Maybe you think the property is worth less, but you're thinking, oh, maybe I don't want to say that because that's going to be decreasing my commission, which you shouldn't be doing. The rules of ethics and whatnot, or guidelines of ethics, I should say that you shouldn't do that. But ultimately, when you have an honest, open discussion about things, when they ask you questions and they see that you're not just BSing them, that you're giving them a real answer. Again, it might not be the answer it is that they like, but when you're giving them that real answer, that's kind of gives you some traction to move forward. If you're just saying what it is that they want to hear, you're basically just going to be spinning your tires with them. You're just going to be saying words, and they're not really meaning anything or moving the transaction forward whatsoever. And that's a big part of the honesty and the building of the trust. Is having this dialogue that's sometimes the difficult dialogue that people don't want to have. And that's probably why there's a lot of salespeople out there that struggle with getting sales done, or maybe that end up with a client that the client is, so let's say we've got a client and this is a buyer that we're working with. So say we're working with a buyer and the buyer is telling you, okay, yeah, I want this thing, and then I want that thing. Let's say I want a 4-bedroom home, and I want it also to have a swimming pool, and I also want it to have a hot tub, and of course I need it to be built within the last 2 years, and then on top of that, I need it to have this particular paint color, and all these different things it is that they're rattling off and whatnot, and you might just be saying, okay, yes. Oh, yeah. Oh, you want that too? All right, yeah, let me keep going here. And you're writing all these things down, or you're trying to keep track of all the things it is they really want. If they're telling me all these things, I'm going to ask them, tell me what you really want. Tell me what's number one out of all these. Because I'd love to find you a house that's ideal like this, but I'll be honest with you, that's going to be almost impossible. We might come across one, but let's see what it is the most things that we don't want to give up. What's most important here, and they're not going to like that. And you might think going into this, especially if they're early in the sales process, or even if they're later in the sales process, if you're telling them we're not going to get you this dream property it is that you're laying out here, at least not maybe within your budget it is that you have, or what you've been pre-approved for, or whatever that may be. So if you have that discussion early on, because a lot of agents, and you might hear a complaint, and so nationwide there's a statistic that says on average it takes 24 hours of time to work with a buyer versus 8 hours worth of time to work with a seller. And that's of your working hours actually put into this. The reason why it's so much additional time working with a buyer is because often agents are showing them house after house after house after house after house after house after house, and going on for like 20 and sometimes like even 30 houses it is that they're showing them. And what that basically shows when you're having to look at this many properties, it's not that your buyer is picky. It's because you didn't have that dialogue of, okay, what's the most important? And if they say, oh, they're all important, it's all equally important. I need to have all these things. I need this paint color. I need this many bedrooms. I need that. I need this. I need that. And if you say, well, look, I'd love to get you those things, but that's not going to happen. I'll keep my eye out for this dream property. But just in case, let's go back into reality here. And what are the things we need to have most? Now, you might think that's going to offend your client, and they might be a little bit, whoa. But and then the key part of this is doing this early in the process, doing this early. And a big part of that, and this is another reason I think why so often it takes a lot longer to close a buyer than it does a seller, is not having the necessary pre-qualification, which that's what we're doing here. We're trying to pull out these details of what it is that they want, so that way we could identify, okay, based on these things it is that you want, within the budget that we have here, within the amount that you've been pre-approved for, these are our options. We've got these 3 here, and then maybe look at a few digitally, and then maybe look at 2 or 3 in person. And okay, out of these 2 or 3, this is, people watch these shows on HGTV and what is it, the House Hunters and things like that, where they're like, oh, we have option A, B, and C. Which property is that you want to choose? And these are your only 3 options. And a lot of agents write that off, saying, oh, that's not how this works in the real world. It can be, if you're appropriately qualifying your client. And sometimes this gets down to not just going off of what they say, but what they're telling you. Not just what they say, but what they're telling you. And again, it may seem like we're off topic here, but this is all about building the trust. Because when you kind of pull up these points that maybe they don't even know it is that they need, or figure out what's most important to them. Okay, you need 4 bedrooms. Why do you need 4 bedrooms? Why do you need this particular paint color? Why do you need a home built within this amount of time? And some of them, they might not have a good reason why. They might just say, well, I just like that color. Well, we could always repaint it, but why do you need 4 bedrooms? Oh, well, I need 4 bedrooms because I have this, this, and that, and then I have this relative that's always coming over to visit. And okay, so now we've identified that that's obviously the more important aspect of this here. So part of this, you're almost like a counselor, like a psychologist, trying to really kind of rein in what it is that they're saying, and you're the matchmaker, really. You're taking this data that they're giving you, and with the MLS, you've got the most powerful property search tool available. They don't have access to this power that you have. Even if you give them their little customer portal on the MLS, it still doesn't have the power to do the searches that you could do, where you could drill down to every single little detail about a property to really kind of identify the best property that's out there, the best fit for them. And then you're able to pull up a couple of options. And sometimes what also works good with this, staying in this buyer thread, is having them give you a few different properties that they might have already thought that they liked, that they've considered. Even if it is a little bit out of their budget, you could look at the properties it is that they're showing you and start to get that least common denominator of, okay, I see the look, the feel it is that you're going there. And better yet, ask them, okay, why did you like this property? Why did you like that property? Why did you like that property? And now you'll notice here, and a lot of agents, and I've had this discussion before, they'll say, oh, well, that's a waste of time. Why do I want to go and do all this and tell them to do that and talk about all these other things? We'll figure that out when we get out there showing properties, correct? And that's what most agents do. They figure it out as they go. They don't have a clear picture. And don't get me wrong, as you show them some properties, you might find out that they have something else, some other need that's maybe more important. But that just means you didn't go deep enough in the pre-qualification. And I'm not talking about pre-qualifying for a loan or pre-qualifying for financing or anything. Yeah, that's important to figure out how much money it is we have to work with here. I'm talking about pre-qualifying them based on the type of property it is that they want. So you could really go in there, have 3 different options, and based on all the things it is that they told you, those are the best 3 options. And then ultimately it comes down to, okay, which one of these 3 it is that you like. And maybe it's 4, maybe it's 5, 3, or really 1 is the ideal, that you show them one property, they love that one property, they want to buy that one property. It doesn't get any better than that, because I'll guarantee you that cuts that 24 hours down to probably 5 or 6 hours it takes of your time and effort to close one of these buyers. So, but it all comes down to qualifying them ahead of time. And all this information that communication that we're having here, and this communication, it isn't about how my day was, it isn't about how their day was, it wasn't about how their weekend was. That has nothing to do with building trust. And that's a huge flaw in thinking, and it's not your fault if that's the way you think, because that's kind of been the philosophy a long time there, is okay, you have to build rapport with people, but we don't live in the age where people have time on their side Time is usually against most people. Time is the enemy for most people, and they want to get things done as quickly as possible. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for, when they're using a professional, they want a professional typically who will get things done quickly. Who wants to go, I mean, think of how much you don't want to go look at 20 different houses. Do you think your buyer wants to go look at 20 different houses? No, they'll get sick of looking at houses. They could love houses. They could be a perfect candidate to be a realtor themselves. And they're absolutely going to get bored with looking at houses. And the more it is that they look at, the more difficult you're making the decision for them, because now you're getting down to the very nitty-gritty details about particular properties and small things that may be holding it up. So, like I said, part of this, establishing this trust is having this communication up front. Because when you build the trust, or when it's most important to build the trust, is at the beginning. Yeah, it'll be good if you've got it by the end of the transaction. That'll help you out with referrals and everything like that. But you're going to have a lot bumpier and rockier relationship with them leading up to the sale if you haven't established that trust to begin with. So, like I said, the number one factor, the number one thing you need to keep into account when you're trying to build trust with your clients is going through the necessary qualification to begin with. And that's going to help get a clear picture and a clear idea, especially when you're working with a buyer, of what exactly type of property it is that they're looking for. Now, there's a few other things I definitely want to hit on that's going to help make this communication more clear and really kind of set the tone going forward. But before we get into that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. So stick with us. I'm John Chrismo. You're watching State of Real Estate.
Have you been thinking about starting a career in real estate? Enjoy an entrepreneurial lifestyle that allows for schedule flexibility with unlimited income potential. In real estate, the sky is the limit, and what you put in is what you get out. Learn more about a career in real estate at tampaschool.com. Did you know that if post-licensing education isn't completed by your first renewal, your real estate license will become null and void? If your license becomes null and void, you must restart the licensing process all over again. At the Tampa School of Real Estate, we make renewal requirements easy. Visit postflorida.com to learn more and enroll today. Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Don't let this be our final song. Don't let this be our final song. So hear me out before you see the night is over. I want you to know that we gotta carry on. So don't let.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Chrismo, and this show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. If you're interested in starting or enhancing your real estate career, give us a call. The phone number is 813-928-0106. Our advisors are standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way you can. Also, check out tampaschool.com and passfirsttry.com. But more importantly, what we're doing here today, every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you to help you mastermind and grow your real estate business. We started this show to help our real estate students and give them the edge. Because when you go to the Tampa School of Real Estate, you're just not a student while you're in the class with us. You're not just a student when you graduate. You're a student with us for life. You're a student with us for life. We want to have our students be the best performing real estate agents out there. So they say, yeah, I started at Tampa School of Real Estate. So that's our goal. That's why we do these shows every Friday, 12 noon Eastern Time. If you're not subscribed to the channel yet, we've got 80,000 views on YouTube. So go ahead and check that out there. Hit the subscribe button. Like us on Facebook. Go to tampaschool.com. Drop your email there, and we'll get you updated with all that stuff as well. But what we're talking about today is building trust. And we already established why you need to build trust. It's essential, and why you need to do this early in the transaction, because it's going to make your whole transaction after that a lot smoother. We talked about being clear in your communication, for saying the things that are not always the things that people want to hear, but need to be said. And that's going to go a long ways with building trust, because and you might think this is going to maybe hurt you or hurt your relationship with this person. Like I said, maybe talking with the buyer they've got this list of all the things it is that they want for this house that's not of reality, and they've got this list of things they want, and that's what they've got their dream set on. You might think it is that you're going to kill the deal by saying you're not going to be able to get all those things. But really, you're doing your client a disservice by letting them think they're going to be able to find a property with all those things when you know that's not going to be realistic, especially maybe if they have some sort of budget constraints, which most buyers do. Most buyers have a certain amount. It is, not most buyers, pretty much all buyers. There's very few people in the world that basically have unlimited ability to buy basically any real estate in the world, and that person probably isn't your client. If they are, that's a different story. Now we're talking about, the crazy pools and the 17 floors and all this other stuff here. But when you're dealing with an average everyday client, and they've got this list of all the things it is that they have, establishing what's important, asking those tough questions, what are these are going to be that you want to give up. There's not going to be a single thing that kills the deal, and especially if you're doing this early on, it's not going to tank your deal. It's not going to ruin the deal there. So, and that's very important with the buyers, and that's really going to help you condense the amount of time it takes to close that buyer, because once you've pre-qualified them effectively on what it is that they need and want out of a property and what is most important to them, you're able to take that information and match it up with what's available in the market and really get an idea of what's the best properties out there for them. That you could go out there, do maybe 1 or 2 appointments, look at a few different properties, and hopefully be able to get in a contract off of one of those. And that might seem like the dream, and it really is. That's the way to do this. That's the appropriate way to do this. It's not a dream to close a client quickly and not have to take 24 hours of your working hours to put into the transaction. It's what should be expected. And yeah, it seems like, I could never do that. How am I going to figure out what it is that they really want? What if they tell me this and they really mean that? Or they tell me they want this many bedrooms, but they really need this many bedrooms? That's your job in pre-qualifying them, is establishing that necessary communication. Now, part of this, and so like I said, if your clients don't trust you, then they're going to give you misinformation. They're going to give you the wrong information because maybe they're embarrassed about what it is that they're saying. Maybe they say they want 3 bedrooms, and maybe they want the 3 bedrooms. They're telling you they want 3 bedrooms just because they want a 3-bedroom, but maybe they really want 3 bedrooms because they think that they're not going to be able to afford a 4-bedroom property, and they're just telling you that out of pride. The pride is a big factor that you want to eliminate from the conversations, because that's a huge killer of the trust and the open and honest communication. So absolutely try to remove that, because that's going to help get your information a little bit clear. Let's maybe talk about the seller side, and this could apply on the buyer side as well, this type of phrasing. But let's say we're dealing with a seller, and the seller, there is a level of pre-qualification necessary, but not nearly as much as a buyer. And that's why on average, the average is 1/3 of the time it takes to close a buyer to close a seller. You're able to close a seller on average in 8 hours versus 24 hours working with a buyer. And the reason why is because there's that lower degree of pre-qualification, those questions that people don't want to ask. There's not as many of them, and some of the questions that you maybe don't want to ask are pretty much must have to ask. So we did this week listing calculations on Wednesday on Ask the Instructor. It's a great show every Wednesday at 12 noon to help you understand the technical stuff. But we were calculating out the seller's net. And this basically tells us how much money the seller's able to walk away with, the cash they're able to walk away with when they sell a property. And there's that question of, okay, what's your loan balance? And you want to have a correct answer for that. Now, this is a question that most agents are going to ask. Well, okay, what's the loan balance? There's still some that don't ask that question, and it's absolutely important that you find that out, because you want to find out what the money it is that they're able to walk away from the closing. That should be one of the first calculations you do for a buyer is, okay, what's that minimum price we have to sell the property for in order for you to walk away with no money out of pocket? And then we could talk about, okay, do we have room to sell it at market value? How much could we expect to walk away with if we sell it at market value based on the that minimum sale price it is that we need? But asking what that loan balance is, how much money it is that they owe against their mortgage, that's essential to do right from the get-go. And most agents get that, and that's why, like I said, the selling side usually closes a lot quicker. A lot of agents will sign with the first agent as they have, and part of that is there's that more established trust because they're opening up to you. You've got to trust somebody to tell them how much you owe on the property. You've got to trust somebody to tell them what your credit score is. For this personal information, when you're taking this personal information from them, gathering the personal information, to use a less aggressive word here, they're opening up to you, and they're going to be less likely to give you misinformation. Now, part of that, like I said, is we want to establish trust earlier on. So that way when we're asking these pre-qualification questions, we're getting the correct answers, the correct information. And what I would recommend doing, and this will help set the tone. So when you're communicating with somebody, when you're talking to somebody, you might be wondering, if you're just tuning in, what it is that my goal is here right now. And if you're here at the beginning of the episode, you know what that goal is, because we talk about it at the beginning of coming back from every break. Our goal here is to help you better understand the real estate industry. So by me clarifying what it is that I want to do within this segment here, what I want to do in this interaction, in this communication, by me clarifying that up front, you're able to take away more from this communication it is that we're having. And if there's going to be problems, if there's going to be things that maybe you don't understand, and you know the goal is to understand the information, and there's things you don't understand, you would tell me. I would hope you tell me at least. But that's what happens when you set the intention of what it is that you're wanting to do to begin with. When you have that clear, defined goal of why it is that you're meeting with this person. So let's say you're going into a seller's home, and when you go in there, hey, how you doing? I'm John. Nice to finally meet you. My goal here today is to establish an appropriate price for this property, to get you the necessary cash you want to walk away with, and for you to put me to work working for you. You tell them that up front, they're like, okay, wow, this person means business. Okay, that's the goal from this interaction. And usually that's the response you're going to get. You're like, oh, okay. All right, yeah, well, let's take a look at the house. You're also going to get the response sometimes of, oh, well, we're just thinking about selling right now. You know, we haven't even painted the fourth bedroom yet, and that needs to be done before we sell the house. Oh, yeah, and they're already giving you objections of reasons why it is that they don't want to get into that contract. And you'll see just having that intention, that clear intention to begin with, it's going to help. It's like setting the intention is like turning on the windshield wipers, and now all of a sudden everything starts to become a little bit clearer. If you're driving with a bunch of mud on your windshield, you're not going to see the tree it is that you're heading for, or the light pole, or the other car. You're not able to see a car's brake lights when there's mud on your windshield, so you turn on the windshield wipers. The equivalent of that in communication and going on appointments is telling them from the beginning, or from whenever it is that you decide to tell them, is what your goals are, what the reasons is that you're going out there. So maybe you're working with a buyer. Hey, my goal is to find that ideal property for you that's going to meet as many of these requirements or as many of these desires as possible, and definitely accomplish all the things it is that you need out of a property, and to get that property under contract with as few visits as possible, with looking at as few options as possible to get you the best property. So you're setting this clear intention right to begin with, and when you're setting that intention, it's like you're turning on the windshield wipers, and now all of a sudden you could see if they've got some sort of objection already kind of in their head, if they've got some thought in their head. And painting the fourth bedroom in the property, the spare bedroom, getting that painted, that's not going to be the deal breaker for the sale of a property. It's probably, I mean, it could be painted the ugliest, most disappealing color in the world. It could be painted like pitch black. You know, maybe they use it as some sort of art studio or something like that, and or whatever reason, it's all black in there. And that's not going to appeal to most buyers, but that's usually not going to have that significant of effect, if any, on the price, especially if this is just like one bedroom or something like that. If there's some huge problem, then yeah, that's something to be addressed. But the moral of the story is, by setting that intention up front, they're going to start to open up to you more. So this is almost trust by proxy. So I'll say that again, trust by proxy, because what you're doing here, You're setting this intention of what it is that you want to achieve, what your purpose of being here, of talking to them, of communicating with them is, and now all of a sudden everything starts to seem a little bit more clear because you laid your cards on the table. You've laid your cards on the table, so now it's their turn. They put their cards on the table as well. Or, maybe they start just doing one card at a time, but eventually you're going to get the full picture of where it is that they're coming from. If you wait until let's say you go on this listing appointment and you're touring the property and you're looking around and you're saying, oh, this is a nice bedroom, oh, this is a nice area here, well, here, let me sit you down and show you what I could do for you as an agent. And there's a lot of agents that don't even, that wait for the client to say, okay, well, let's sell the house. And you'll get that sometimes. That's how a lot of agents do still get listings, is they wait for the client to ask for it. But and what happens most of the time is if you never ask or you never tell them what you're there to do, if you never say, hey, look, let's get the contract signed, or maybe you wait until you've gone through all of this here and you say, okay, well, let's get to work. Let's you guys want to sell? Okay, yeah, let's sell, okay. And you bring out the contract and they're like, oh, well, you know what? I got to talk to my aunt's sister's brother because, he had a real estate license like 20 years ago, and he said to make sure we talk to him first because there's a few things he wanted to tell us about with the property. And after spending an hour, 2 hours, 45 minutes, even 15 minutes, and you're finding that out then rather than finding that out to begin with, you might have been wasting your time. You might be, there's some clients that no matter how great it is that you are as a closer or how great your product is, that they maybe just don't want your product. They don't want your service. Maybe they're just having you there because they want to sell it for sale by owner and they want to find out what value to sell the property for. And maybe no matter what it is that you say, they're dead set on selling that property for sale by owner. If you've been in there for an hour, you've just wasted an hour of time versus just kind of maybe spending 5-10 minutes with them, talking with them a little bit, and then staying in touch with them over time until they realize they can sell it for sale by owner. Now you could go in there and you're able to list the property. But like I said, when you're setting this intention, this is, like I said, trust by proxy, because what you're doing is you're laying your cards on the table so they will feel the need to do the same. Because if you say my goal is to get you to sign a contract today, and they've got these ideas in their head of why they don't want to sign, they're going to tell you why they don't want to sign, because otherwise you're going to be there. They know you're going to be there with the paper saying, okay, sign here. So if you tell them that your goal is to get a contract signed, they're going to be like, oh, well, I was waiting for, my dog to get a haircut because so that way he's not, traipsing hair all over the house and things like that. So I want to get him groomed before, and they'll just have sometimes these ridiculous reasons. And in their head, because they've thought about this so much, they seem like legitimate reasons of why they shouldn't sign this paperwork, why they shouldn't sign this document. And sometimes there are legitimate reasons why. I mean, again, maybe that bedroom, the paint color, something like that. That's something that needs to be handled and taken care of. But how long is it going to take to paint a bedroom? If they're doing it themselves, they could go out this afternoon to Home Depot, get a bucket of paint, some rollers, and have that done by the end of the day. Maybe they don't want to get their hands dirty, so they bring a professional in. Maybe we're talking a few days to a week to get that problem taken care of. So what you want to do is you want to find out what these obstacles are. You got to turn on the windshield wipers, clear off the mud to see what it is that you're heading for. So you don't smash into this problem where all of a sudden it's now much bigger of a problem, because the whole time, when you get these objections and these complaints out ahead of time, you know what's going on in their head. So by going in there and saying, hey, my goal is to get you to sign this contract today, whatever that may be, and you could revise the wording with that, but make it clear whether it's buying or selling, that my goal is to get you to under contract for whatever that may be. When you tell them that up front, you're going to start getting these objections out right away, and then you're going to have more time to basically explain to them how maybe it's about like their dog getting groomed or something ridiculous like that, hey, look, that's not something you need to worry about. Oh, no, yeah, I see that hair there, but, we'll hit this with a dust buster, and all of a sudden that hair is gone, and now it's like new in this house, or whatever it may be. But now you're going through that whole conversation, that whole communication with what they've got in their head. You already know that information that would be holding them back from signing. And when you get that out of the way ahead of time, that kind of clears the air. By them saying what the reasons are that they don't want to sell, or that they don't want to sign the contract maybe, you're you're allowing them to feel a little bit of relief. And now they'll trust you a little bit more because they've told you their deepest, darkest secrets about their real estate needs and about their financial position and so on and so forth. So establishing that clarity from the begin with is going to really help automatically have a level of trust, because what they're seeing there as well, when you're saying, hey, my goal is to get you to sign this contract, is to see that you're a straight shooter, that you're a person that, okay, you're very clear with what it is that you want, that they could trust you for what you say. Maybe they don't want to sign the contract, that's fine, but you telling them that you want them to sign the contract and not saying, oh, I know you don't want to sign this, but sign this. We're not playing any mind games or tricks or anything like that. We're simply having we're simplifying the conversation as much as possible, saying, hey, my goal is to get you to sign this contract. And they're like, okay, well, I don't want to do that, but at least I know what you're trying to do. And all of a sudden, they're able to trust you a little bit more because you already, like I said, laid your cards on the table. You're not hiding anything from them, and they'll most likely do the same with that. So that's a really big part of establishing trust. We're going to take another quick commercial break, but we've got more State of Real Estate, more on building trust for you. So stick with us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Have you been thinking about starting a career in real estate? Enjoy an entrepreneurial lifestyle that allows for schedule flexibility with unlimited income potential. In real estate, the sky is the limit, and what you put in is what you get out. Learn more about a career in real estate at tampaschool.com. Did you know that if post-licensing education isn't completed by your first renewal, your real estate license will become null and void? If your license becomes null and void, you must restart the licensing process all over again. At the Tampa School of Real Estate, we make renewal requirements easy. Visit postflorida.com to learn more and enroll today. Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Don't let this be our final song. Don't let this be our final song. So hear me out before you say the night is over. I want you to know that we gotta carry on. So don't let.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate. I'm John Christmas. This show is brought to you on behalf of the Tampa School of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time, we come to you to help you mastermind and take your real estate business to the next level. The reason we do this show, my goal in this show is to help our students be better real estate agents. And you might think that, okay, well, what's really your plan here? And obviously there's commercials and things like that to maybe get you guys to sign up for classes with us as well. But ultimately, we started the shows because there's a lot of more time-effective ways for us to go out there and get people to sign up for classes. The reason why we do these shows is truly to help our students. And by helping our students take their business to the next level, to be the best real estate agents in the industry, that makes us look good. Right? Would you agree? Notice what I just did there. I asked, would you agree? Now, this is something really overlooked a lot of times when we're talking, anytime in a sales process, but this is very good for establishing the trust, because with the trust, it's all about keeping that communication open. That's really what the trust is all about. And like I said, with setting that intention, you're laying your cards on the table. And when they start giving you objections, they're starting to throw down what their cards are to see what it is that they're holding, what they're hiding. Now, that's great to begin with, but what they could always do is start taking their cards and, creeping that back up here. So, okay, yeah. And all of a sudden, they're distancing themselves from you. And it's possible to break down that trust if you're not constantly reinforcing it. So part of that is having this communication, or really all of it is about having this communication. And remember that the communication isn't just one way. It's not just you telling them about this property or telling them this or telling them that. It's saying, hey, what do you think? Would you agree? This house has great whatever. Would you agree? And that's really a bad one because that's just a yes or no question, so that really doesn't take you very far. The better questions are, okay, what do you like about this house? All right, what do you not like about this house? Is this those things that you don't like? Are those going to be deal breakers for this house? Do we want to eliminate this house as an option? Okay, done. That one's done with. We're never looking at it again. That's keeping that open. That keeps them from hiding things from you, because this is an ongoing process. They're going to constantly be having things that are going to be cropping up, that are going to be popping up. Maybe they see something in one of these houses it is that they're touring, and that's something they think of, and they're maybe not even trying to hide this from you. Maybe they do trust you, but maybe they just forget to tell you that small detail. So it's very important for you to constantly be pulling the communication back out of them. You want to be getting answers for these things. You went and looked at this house. We've got two options. We write a contract on the house. We leave this house behind. And sometimes most of the time, it's not that simple. At least in your client said, they're like, oh, well, we have to think about it if we really want this house, or what else is out there, what else is available. And if you've gone through and did a great pre-qualification of what it is that their needs and wants and goals are in a property, and you've even extracted some additional things that maybe they weren't thinking, you've really kind of prioritized what it is that they absolutely need out of the property, and then the other things that are maybe just wants that would be nice to add in there to kind of maybe sweeten the deal a little bit. But when you're able to do that and get all this information out of it, you could really go into your market and find which properties, and just going in your MLS, so it doesn't even require you driving all over town. You're going the MLS, you find the properties that match closest to what it is that they're looking for, and you're probably going to, if you've done a proper pre-qualification of what's important to them, you're going to end up with just a handful of properties. The worst thing you could do is show them too many properties. Because what's going to happen when you've shown them so many properties, you've probably hit the one, you probably struck that gold or found that diamond at some point going through there, but because there's other options that maybe they still need to look at that maybe aren't anywhere near in that same level, and they're maybe completely different properties, but because you didn't thoroughly identify what it is that they're looking for out of a property, you've basically overwhelmed them with the information. And that makes them not trust you and not trust your judgment. Because when they're not trusting your judgment, they're not trusting you. And those things go together. If you're showing them houses that you should be embarrassed if you show them a house that they don't like, that they don't want. And you don't want to show that embarrassed, but that embarrassment basically comes from, especially when it's revealing something that you didn't find in this pre-qualification, that you didn't find out that they wanted about the property. That should not happen. You should know every little detail, even the details they didn't think of before you start showing properties, because then you're able to narrow it down to the best options for them, and then only end up with the 3, 4, maybe 5 different properties you need to look at, and then ultimately saying, okay, these are the ones that are best for you here. Which one do you like the best? Which one do you want to write a contract on? And yes, it can be that easy, but the easy part is showing the properties. The hard part is doing the qualification. If you want to just jump right into the easy part and show house after house after house after house after house after house after house, that all of a sudden isn't so easy, because you're going through and they're being overwhelmed by all this information that they're now sensing. Instead of just seeing online and just visually looking at online, they're now smelling and hearing and feeling and touching everything about this house. And that's sensory overload going into the house, and you do that with too many houses, and all of a sudden these houses start to lose their luster. So like I said, you might have already shown them the property that would be perfect and the best one for them, and you blew it because you had too many options. And ultimately they might come back and that's the property it is that they want, but that could have been done in a lot less time. So like I said, building the trust, not only getting them to trust you, but also trusting your judgment. let's just recap everything in this episode because we are getting at the end of the hour here. So number one, why you need to build the trust, because it's going to make your transactions go smoother. It's going to make you able to find what your clients really need and want that much quicker, a lot quicker, especially if you're not doing any of this stuff to begin with. It's going to clear the communication lines and allow for direct dialogue where they could tell you and give you open, honest feedback without feeling the need to hurt your feelings or anything like that, because that's a thought process that goes through a lot of buyers' heads. For instance, is they'll associate you with the seller of the property, and they think if they're telling you that they don't like the layout of the property that they're offending you. They're not offending you. They're giving you crucial data that you need to identify the property it is that's right for them. So you want to keep that communication open. You want to set the intention of what your goal is right to begin with. Say, hey, look, with my clients, my goal is always to find them the perfect property and get that under contract in 3 showings or less. We look at 3 properties and we found the one. And they might say, well, 3 properties, but what about all the options out there? There's 100 homes available for sale just in this zip code here. What about all those? Don't we need to look at all of them? And then you explain to them, well, some of these homes are out of your budget, they're out of your price range, so we could rule those out right to begin with. Some of them don't have what it is that you're looking for, so we could rule that out, and then some of them won't have this, and that leaves us just with a handful of homes. And then from there, we could really kind of identify the 3 it is that are best for you and ultimately make a decision on that. And they're like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. So see, you took that thing that they're going to hold in, that they're going to keep pent up inside of them, and they might not want to sign the contract just because they feel that they need to look at more homes. But when we've made that clear that these are the options that are best for them, and looking at any homes basically would be a waste of time. Now, obviously, you don't want to just say, oh, no, we're only going to look at 3 homes because looking at more than that is a waste of my time and yours. They're going to say, oh, well, this agent's kind of full of himself, and then they'll go maybe talk to themselves. So part of this is all about being a professional with this here and explaining why. Okay, look, I want to get you guys the 3 best options, and I'm confident we're going to find the 3 best options. And ultimately, if you don't like one of those 3 houses, you don't have to sign the contract, but I'm confident that I'm going to give you 3 great options, and you're probably going to love every one of them. And now all of a sudden, they're much more at ease, and they're willing to give you that direct feedback. When they know that the goal is to get this property under contract, they might tell you problems about this property before you even look at it, and like I said, not waste your time actually showing the property. So that's really important, setting the intention to begin with there. And then, like I said, keeping these communication lines open. As you're out there continuously fact-finding, the pre-qualification is just what you're doing before you start showing the properties, and as you're showing them, you're now in qualification. The pre part is over with, and you're trying to qualify if this property is appropriate for them. So like I said, keeping those communication lines open as well. But really, the trust is all about having communication with your clients. If you keep those communication lines open, you won't be surprised by anything. They're going to be telling you everything as soon as possible, ideally, and that's going to allow you to use your professional expertise to remedy the situation and ultimately get everyone what it is that they want. So that's this week's episode of State of Real Estate. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've got some tips and tactics that you can take out there and implement in your real estate business today, this weekend, on Monday, whenever it is that you're out there either showing homes or meeting with clients. Just try to, like I said, get that communication line open. It's never too late to start having open and honest communications. The best time to do it is right at the beginning, but it's never too late. If you've had clients that you've kind of maybe been leading on, and that's what happens when you don't extract the necessary information, you're kind of just, leading them on with this, so you need to get this necessary information out. So try to implement that in your business. Make sure you tune in next week at 12 noon Eastern time. Again, every Friday, 12 noon Eastern time, we do State of Real Estate to help take your real estate business to the next level. If you want to see all of our past episodes, or maybe you just want to rewatch this episode, you could even slow it down. If you go to tampaschool.com/success, you could play, pause. It's completely on demand on there, tampaschool.com/success. You can drop your email in there, and you're going to get email notifications every time it is that we do go live. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next Friday.
Have you been thinking about starting a career in real estate? Enjoy an entrepreneurial lifestyle that allows for schedule flexibility with unlimited income potential. In real estate, the sky is the limit, and what you put in is what you get out. Learn more about a career in real estate at tampaschool.com. Did you know that if post-licensing education isn't completed by your first renewal, your real estate license will become null and void? If your license becomes null and void, you must restart the licensing process all over again. At the Tampa School of Real Estate, we make renewal requirements easy. Visit postflorida.com to learn more and enroll today. Do you want to incorporate studying for your real estate exams into your busy schedule? Now you can review the key topics you need to know to pass your class and state exams with our MP3 audio review. Simply pop in your headphones or connect to your car to reinforce crucial information while you exercise or drive. Listen to the first unit for free at mp3audioreview.com. That's mp3audioreview.com.
Don't let this be our final song. Don't let this be our final song. So give me happy before you see the night is over. I want you to know that we gotta carry on. So don't let.
Hey, if you're enjoying the show today, which I'm sure you are, be sure to hit like, subscribe, post your comments, share with your friends and family. Thank you guys so much for watching.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate.